videos. And so let me go ahead and hit the share. Copy this linky. Copy the little linky and make it right. You don't want to hear, you didn't come here to hear me sing. You want me to talk about breathe. Copy the little linky and make it right. You don't want to hear, you didn't come here to hear me sing. You want me to talk about breathe. All right, I'm set up. Sorry, guys. I got distracted by my own BS here on YouTube. Hold on. You didn't come here to hear me sing. You want me to talk about breathe. Okay. All right, so we get rid of that, so I'm not distracted by my own craziness. Okay, guys, let's talk about breathe. What I'm going to do first of all is I'm going to jam a little bit. I'm going to put the track on. In the description below is the link to the track. Once again, Now You Shred. It isn't the only backing track channel that I use or like, but I'm just kind of on a tear with it right now. I think it's a great channel. I'm having a lot of fun with it, and everybody knows the song, and so it has a great opportunity to learn some stuff that you can do with chords, some way to kind of think about chords as key change. It's actually, that turnaround is pretty freaking intense. So I want to talk about that, but I want to talk about the whole thing a bit. I'm going to try not to make this too long, but so let me go ahead and get the track going. I'll do a little playing, and we'll just sort of see where we end up here, okay? Okay, so let's talk about that a little bit. Admittedly, that wasn't my slickest attempt at the turnaround. That's a cool, better way of doing it. So there's lots of things, but let's get into it. First of all, it is the key. Let's talk about the key. I always, when I talk about soloing, when I think about soloing, I always go like, what key? What is the actual key? Not what mode, what key. That's a little different. So a lot of people want to think about this, and we'll tell you this is E minor Dorian. By the way, don't pay too much attention to my hands. I am tuned down a half step. So instead of so what you're seeing, I'm actually playing F minor to B flat. But it's actually a E minor, so I'm gonna just talk about what the actual chords are and not how I'm tuned. But E minor to B, or E minor to A. So a lot of people say, well, that's E minor Dorian. But what is E minor Dorian? It's actually the key of D. Okay? And if you think key of D instead of thinking any kind of E minor stuff, that will give you all the notes that you need to touch them chords, to reference the chords as they go by. At least in the first half. There's a key change during the turnaround, which is really slick. And we're going to talk about that in a second. So if you think of it in the correct key, You don't have to be thinking about modes and all that stuff. You just think about what key you're in. All the notes will be laid out before you. So what's really going on here is this is the 2 chord in D, and this is the 5 chord in D. Thinking about it that way also allows you to think of some of the upper extended harmony that's actually going on. Specifically, when you get to that A chord, since the A chord is functioning, or it's not functioning, excuse me, let me rephrase that. Since the A chord is actually diatonic in the key of D as the 5 chord, it's hinted at, it's implied that it's a 7th. So you can play the 7th, and you can even do some cool chromatic bluesy things over that chord. So cool. That's really cool. Or don't be afraid to play the same note twice. Like, that's just, remember, soloing is kind of like singing. You know, we're just, you know, you repeat notes. You know, as long as it's done in a melodic way. So that is the 5 chord in the key of D. The E minor is the 2 chord in the key of D. Not too much special there, but again, you can't play you can play the minor 7, which is that D note. So there's just a lot of different things that you can do, just thinking of it that way. So don't think too much about them. Think however you like. But I find, for me, I like to think of the actual diatonic key as opposed to whatever mode we're in. I think all of a sudden it opens up, and it also makes me realize what that chord is in that key, and if it is a cool thing like the 7th, then all kind of cool, you know, chromatic things, bluesy things are able to be used there. Speaking of the blues scale, I would be remiss if I did not tell you that absolutely you can play your blues scale over this whole thing. It works perfect. All that type of stuff works. All that kind of stuff. You can totally do it. Just make my old guitar teacher, Tony Janflone, used to say there are no wrong notes, just wrong resolutions. So that's what you're thinking about. You know, where am I going to resolve? Make sure you're resolving in the right place. Make sure you know the notes to the chords. Now, let's talk about the really fun part of this, which is this awesome turnaround. Now, the turnaround is a key modulation. So at first it's subtle. You're going from C major 7 to B minor 7. The way I think about it, now you think about how you like. You know, I'm just here to kind of give you a perspective. There's other ways of doing it, and other, you know, teachers, not like the channel Now You Shred, who created the track. He has some instructions in his description on it that are a little bit different than mine. It doesn't make him wrong. It doesn't make me right. It's just there's other ways of thinking about it. Okay, so when I get to those specifically, the C major 7 to the B minor 7, I start thinking, okay, now we've sort of modulated from E Dorian, E minor Dorian, E minor Dorian, whatever you're going to call it, key of D to actually key of G, because C major 7, this sounds like a modulation of the key of G to me, because C major 7 is the diatonic 4th 4 chord in the key of G, and B minor 7 is the diatonic 3rd chord. So I would go over something like that. Let me go ahead and get to it here. So essentially there, just as long as you resolve right, one of the notes I played as a resolution was a little out there. I think I did this. So that's how I think about that. So again, I'm referencing I know the notes in the C major 7 chord. I know the notes in the B minor 7 chord. But if you think, okay, this is but it's essentially C and B minor. Don't get too caught up. You know, the 7th is just the next third up. So for C major 7, it's a C chord with a B note in it. For B minor 7, it is a B minor chord with an A note at extended at the top to give you that 7th sound. That's just a little extra juice. Extra notes you can play, you don't need to play. And you could keep it very, you could just outline the chords. Let me get to that. Okay, let me do it again. Sorry, guys. So I just kept there. You can do real simple stuff. Remember, you guys want to play melodically. It isn't about like playing the craziest, wildest sweep arpeggios, especially on a ballad like this. You want to play melodically. So I'm just doing. Just outline on the B minor, on the C major. Now, there's another very cool change, another key change that's much more outside. The F major 7 to G. Notice this is a little subtlety in the chord changes. It's F major 7 to G, not F major 7 to G major 7. What key has both F major and G major in it? There's only one. It's the easiest key in the world. It's the key of C. So it's just a modulation of the key of C. Okay, so let's go ahead and go through that again. I'm gonna go back. I'm trying to find the right spot here. Here we go. Now I want to hold off on that last one. So I just played like I guess I play caged. I didn't realize I played caged until somebody pointed it out to me. So I'm just thinking about the chords. You can do them. You can do them anywhere. So I'm just finding the notes around there. When you're trying to find your way in a track and you're not uber sure of exactly what's going on, maybe you didn't get your mind right, you didn't really think, maybe you didn't have the chords in front of you at first, or somebody lays a chart down and say, well, hey, let's jam this. always safe bet is just to make sure you know if you know the chords, you can always create melodies around the chords. So that F major to get little melodies that you can create around that F major 7, around the G. Now, that's pretty simple. So we modulated. We started out in the key of D. We modulated to the key of G, and then we modulated again to the key of C for 2 chords. Now, this is really fun, and you can do all your, if you're a Robin Ford kind of guy, and you like your whole half whole scale, you like diminished things. That's all built into what happens next. It's a very clever turnaround built on the idea. What's happening here is there's different ways of looking at how this next chord, this D7, sharp 9, flat 9. But whenever you see sharp 9 and flat 9, don't get too scared of that. What that very often means, if you don't know exactly what to do, usually you can play the blues over that. So you could easily do over something like that. There isn't a lot of time though. Okay, guys? So you can't really get into unless you were really familiar with the track, or you play, or you're a professional musician, you're used to looking at charts and everything like that. The idea that you're going to just, on the first pass, come up with the most clever thing. Keep it simple. Make sure you understand what the chord changes are. But how this resolves is really slick. So I do want to address it. So you're going from... where you're trying to get back to the key of E flat, the key of E minor Dorian, E Dorian. And how it works, the D7 sharp 9 flat 9 gives you a chromatic to do that, and it's really slick. So here's your D7 chord. Here is the D7 with the sharp 9. The 9 is here. But this is the sharp 9. So that just means you take the 9th degree and you move it up 1. And then you go flat 9. So that's the 9, but half step lower. But the resolution is the actual 9. Takes you right back to that E minor. So you can do a couple different things here. You can, if you're like, flat 9, sharp 9, I don't know what to do. It's D7. So anytime you see a 7, you can always do a little bluesy thing. So let's go ahead and... See what I did there? I just did like a little bluesy thing on that D. Coming too quick, sorry. Just like a little, you can do a little bluesy thing. But what's more interesting is if you can work in some diminished idea or some sort of flat 9, sharp 9 idea. So let me go back. Isn't that fun? So I just did. That I learned that from my original guitar teacher mentor who got it, I believe. This is a Pat Martino book. And these diminished type ideas allow you to resolve to almost any note. So they're kind of like a free floating thing. So you can get a kind of a cool way to do it. So that is how I treat those chords. I'm going to play a little bit more with it and I'll come back and close. Just some ideas there. There's something. There's something else I wanted to point out. There's one note that I think is really, really critical, and maybe you hear me referring to it a lot, and that is when you go to the second chord, that A7. What really makes it pop, that it is not just, the key of E minor or whatever, is the fact that if it was the key of E minor, the second chord would not be an A dominant 7, it would be an A minor, or A minor 7. Okay. So the real sort of, yes, your audience probably has no clue of key and stuff, but what makes them realize that this is something a little bit different, that their ear is kind of maybe being tricked or turned around, or like there's like a little surprise, what makes this really pop is the fact of that third is raised. It's not flatted as a minor chord, it's raised like a major chord. So if you could do nothing else on this, make sure you reference that C sharp note. Even when I'm not playing the chord, say if I'm just playing the solo, you can hear the chord changes because of how I'm referencing the note. That's why it's really important, guys, if you know, it's to know the chord, to know the notes of the chord changes. Take a few minutes, and when you see a track or you go like, gee, what is C major 7? What's B minor 7? I don't really know. Google. If you don't know, Google it and make sure you know this, because it's going to just up your game and you're going to sound way cooler, way more melodic, and your soloing is going to be way more impactful. At the end of the day, what you need to do, what I need to do, what we all need to do is make sure that we do our best to master these chord tones, so that we don't have to do too much. As you can tell, some of this, because I'm trying to do a teaching video, I am consciously thinking, because I'm going like, what can I show them that will help them? But where you really want to be with this is just emotionally into the track, enjoying the track, finding the emotional space. And these ideas should kind of become, you want them to be second nature, so that you don't have to think too much about it. You listen and you respond. You do what your ear is telling you to do. Guys, that is it. I have said my piece on this. I hope you guys enjoyed it. There are some links in the description below. Please check out Now You Shred's YouTube channel. I just discovered it recently. It's been up for a while, but great backing tracks, great. What I like about You Shred's backing tracks is the fact that, first of all, if you go on this, you would hear there is dynamics. There's places where he pulls out some of the instruments and gives you a chance to kind of have some dynamics, which is really important. I don't hear a lot of other YouTube backing track people doing that, so kudos on that. So check that out. Also in the description below, I have a really awesome community of folks that are passionate about great guitar driven rock. You can get some cool free downloads. There's some free there's access to exclusive conversation, exclusive videos, and things like that, and that's at loulombardirocks.com. All right, guys, it was a lot of fun. Feel free to leave comments, questions. If there's a track you want me to explore for you, there's a track you like to jam to, you're listening to, and you're stuck on something, throw it up there. I mean, I'm open to suggestions. I'm kind of new to doing this, but I really enjoy sharing my my knowledge of guitar. I've been doing it for a long time, so it's super fun. So give me your comments, suggestions, and I'll be seeing you soon. I'm doing a couple of these a week now. So I'll talk to you guys soon. Have a great one.